The Dying Alliance. The story opens in the command center of the Galactic Defense, Coalition's last remaining stronghold on planet Keros. Admiral Vex, a tall blue-skinned alien with 4 arms, stares at the holographic battle map, showing red enemy markers overwhelming their green defensive positions. The Coalition forces are down to their final 3 planets after losing a brutal war that has raged for 5 years. Commander Nira, a reptilian species with golden scales, reports the latest casualty figures. They have lost 60% of their fleet and most of their ground forces. The enemy, known as the Destroyers, are a machine-like race that consumes worlds and turns them into factory planets. Their technology is superior, their numbers endless, and their advance unstoppable. Captain Dex, a wolf-like alien warrior, pounds his fist on the tactical table. His people, the Wolves of Fenris, are known throughout the galaxy as fierce fighters. But even they cannot stand against the Destroyer's overwhelming might. The Coalition's best weapons barely scratch the enemy's adaptive armor, and their shields regenerate faster than they can be damaged. As the 3 leaders discuss evacuation plans, a young communication officer named Zara rushes in with urgent news. Long-range sensors have detected an unknown fleet approaching from the outer rim. The ships are small compared to Coalition vessels, primitive-looking, and appear to be made of simple metal and composite materials. The fleet identifies itself as the Terran Expeditionary Force from a planet called Earth. Admiral Vex had heard rumors of this species, the humans, but they were considered a young, backward race that had barely achieved faster-than-light travel. Their technology was crude, their ships looked like flying metal boxes, and their weapons were projectile-based rather than energy weapons. Most galactic civilizations considered them irrelevant to galactic affairs. The human fleet consists of 200 ships, tiny compared to the thousands of destroyer vessels heading their way. The human commander, Admiral Cole, requests permission to assist in the defense of Keros. His voice is calm and steady, showing no fear despite the hopeless situation. Commander Nira expresses doubt about accepting help from such a primitive species. Their weapons are chemical-based projectiles and nuclear explosives, technology that most races abandoned centuries ago. How could such basic weapons help against the Destroyer's advanced defenses? Captain Dex, however, argues that they cannot afford to turn away any help. The Destroyers will arrive in 6 hours, and the Coalition forces will be wiped out within the first hour of battle. Even if the humans only buy them a few extra minutes, it might allow some civilian ships to escape. Admiral Vex reluctantly agrees to let the humans join the defense. He assigns them to the outer perimeter, expecting them to be destroyed quickly, but hoping they might at least provide a distraction. The Coalition forces prepare for what they believe will be their final battle. As the hours pass, the humans take positions around the planet. Their ships are indeed crude-looking, angular, ugly, and covered in what appears to be random armor plating. They carry projectile weapons that fire solid metal slugs, missile systems with explosive warheads, and energy weapons that seem weak compared to Coalition technology. The Destroyers arrive exactly on schedule. Their massive black ships, each one the size of a small moon, emerge from hyperspace with perfect precision. They deploy in formation, their movements coordinated like a machine. The Coalition forces watch in growing despair as scanner readings show the enemy's overwhelming advantage in numbers, firepower, and technology. Admiral Vex orders all ships to prepare for battle, knowing it will likely be their last. The Coalition fleet takes defensive positions around Keros, their energy shields glowing blue against the darkness of space. The Destroyers begin their advance, their weapons charging with ominous red light. Commander Nira reports that the Destroyers' adaptive shields are already analyzing Coalition weapon signatures, preparing to neutralize their attacks. The enemies' tactical computers are calculating the most efficient way to destroy the Defenders with minimal losses to their own forces. Just as the first destroyer ships enter weapons range, Admiral Cole's voice crackles over the communication channel. He tells the coalition forces to hold their fire and let the humans engage first. His tone is confident, almost casual, as if he's discussing a routine patrol rather than a desperate last stand. The coalition commanders exchange worried glances. They watch as the primitive human ships accelerate toward the advancing destroyer fleet. It appears to be a suicidal charge by desperate warriors, a final act of defiance before inevitable defeat. The battle is about to begin, and nobody expects the humans to survive more than a few minutes against the galaxy's most feared enemy. The fate of the coalition, and possibly the entire galaxy, hangs in the balance as two vastly different approaches to warfare are about to collide. Asterisk. The destroyer fleet advances in perfect formation, their massive ships moving like predators, stalking prey. Each vessel is a masterpiece of dark engineering, covered in adaptive armor that shifts and flows like liquid metal. Their weapon systems charge with crimson energy, ready to unleash devastation upon the coalition forces. Admiral Vex watches through the command center's main view screen as the human ships accelerate toward the enemy. The Terran vessels look laughably small compared to the destroyer dreadnoughts, like insects flying toward giants. Their primitive appearance makes them seem even more fragile against the sleek, deadly beauty of the enemy fleet. The first destroyer ship, a massive construct called a world breaker, locks onto the lead human vessel. Its adaptive targeting systems quickly scan the crude metal hull, analyzing the threat level. The ship's artificial intelligence concludes that these primitive vessels pose no significant danger and assigns minimum power to dealing with them. Commander. Nera shakes her head in dismay as she watches the humans charge forward. They're going to be slaughtered, she whispers to Captain Dex. Those brave fools don't understand what they're facing. But Admiral Cole's voice remains calm over the communications channel. All human ships implement Formation 7. Remember, these machines think they know everything. Let's show them what unpredictability looks like. The human fleet suddenly breaks formation in what appears to be complete chaos. Ships scatter in all directions, some diving under the enemy formation, others climbing above it, and a few charging straight ahead. To the coalition observers, it looks like panic and confusion. The destroyer's tactical computers struggle to track the seemingly random movements. The first human ship, a bulky cruiser called the Defiant, comes within range of the World Breaker's weapons. The destroyer fires a concentrated beam of plasma that should vaporize the primitive vessel instantly. But the human ship doesn't try to dodge or raise shields. Instead, it does something completely unexpected. It fires back with a barrage of solid metal projectiles. The destroyer's adaptive shields, designed to deflect energy weapons, are caught off guard by the kinetic impact. The metal slugs punch through the energy barriers and strike the hull, causing minor but noticeable damage. The World Breaker's computer systems immediately begin adapting, strengthening the shields against projectile weapons. But the humans are already changing tactics. A second wave of human ships fires explosive missiles that detonate against the destroyer's hull before the shields can fully adapt. The third wave uses different weapons entirely, focused energy beams that operate on frequencies the destroyers haven't encountered before. Captain Dex leans forward in amazement. They're not using one type of weapon system. They're using dozens of different approaches. The destroyer's greatest strength, their ability to adapt and counter enemy tactics, suddenly becomes a weakness. Their systems are designed to analyze and neutralize specific weapon types, but the humans are using such a diverse array of technologies that the adaptive systems can't keep up. One human ship, a compact destroyer called the Ruthless, does something that makes the coalition observers gasp. It launches a nuclear missile directly at a destroyer vessel. The coalition races abandoned nuclear weapons millennia ago, considering them primitive and messy. But the destroyer's shields, focused on stopping energy weapons, offer little protection against the massive kinetic explosion. The nuclear blast tears through the destroyer's hull, causing critical damage. The enemy ship begins to list. It's perfect. Formation broken for the first time in the war. The other destroyer vessels immediately begin adapting their shields to stop nuclear attacks, but the humans are already moving to their next phase. Several human ships coordinate their attacks, with some providing covering fire, while others make precision strikes on specific targets. They're not fighting like a disciplined galactic navy. They're fighting like pirates, terrorists, and guerrilla fighters all at once. Admiral Cole's voice crackles over the communication channel again. Remember, these machines expect us to follow their rules. But humans don't play by anyone's rules but their own. The human ship Thunder strikes at a destroyer vessel with what appears to be a modified mining laser. The weapon is crude and inefficient by galactic standards, but its frequency is so unusual that the destroyer's adaptive systems take precious seconds to counter it. Those seconds are enough for the laser to burn through a critical junction, causing a chain reaction that disables the enemy ship's weapons dot as the battle continues. The coalition forces watch in growing amazement as the humans continue to hold their own against the supposedly invincible destroyers. The enemy fleet, accustomed to swift victories, finds itself engaged in a chaotic melee where their technological advantages are being neutralized by sheer unpredictability. The destroyers begin to regroup, their collective intelligence working to analyze and counter the human tactics. But every time they adapt to one approach, the humans switch to something completely different. It's as if they're fighting an enemy that refuses to be categorized or predicted. The impossible is happening. The humans are not just surviving, but actually winning individual engagements against the galaxy's most feared enemy. The battle around Keros reaches a turning point as the coalition forces watch the humans demonstrate something the galaxy has never seen before: organized chaos. Admiral Vex stares at the tactical display, trying to understand how these primitive beings are holding their own against the destroyers. The human fleet has broken into small groups, each one operating independently, yet somehow coordinating their attacks. The destroyers' battle computers, designed to predict and counter organized military tactics, struggle to process what appears to be random aggression from dozens of different directions. Commander Nira monitors the communications channels and discovers something remarkable. The humans are constantly talking to each other, sharing information, making suggestions, even arguing during the battle. Their communication system is chaotic compared to the precise, efficient data streams used by other galactic races. Sir, she reports to Admiral Vex, the humans are using what they call real-time tactical adaptation. Each ship captain is making independent decisions based on what they observe, then sharing that information with others instantly. Captain Dex watches as a human corvette called the Wasp pulls off a maneuver that defies conventional tactics. Instead of maintaining formation, it dives directly under a destroyer's firing arc, launches a spread of missiles at point-blank range, then immediately accelerates away before the enemy can respond. The attack succeeds because no sane military commander would attempt something so reckless. The destroyers begin to adapt their tactics, but the humans are already evolving theirs. A group of human ships starts using what they call Wolf Pack, TACTICS, coordinated attacks by small groups that strike fast and retreat before the enemy can respond. They're treating the massive destroyer ships like prey to be hunted rather than opponents to be fought. Admiral Cole's flagship, the Enterprise, demonstrates another aspect of human warfare that baffles the coalition observers. When a destroyer ship targets it with a powerful energy beam, The human ship doesn't try to dodge or absorb the hit with shields. Instead, it returns fire with everything it has, while flying straight into the enemy's attack. The destroyer's beam punches through the Enterprise's armor and causes significant damage. But the human ship's concentrated return fire, nuclear missiles, kinetic projectiles, and energy weapons, all fired simultaneously, overwhelms the enemy's adaptive defenses and destroys the destroyer vessel completely. They're willing to accept damage to inflict damage. Captain Dex observes with growing respect. Most galactic races try to minimize casualties, but humans seem to consider them acceptable if they achieve their objectives. The battle takes on a different character as more human ships demonstrate this approach. They're not trying to fight a clean, efficient battle with minimal losses. They're fighting a brutal, grinding war of attrition, where every human ship that dies takes at least one destroyer with it. Commander Nira discovers another unsettling aspect of human warfare. Their ships are equipped with what they call dead man switches, systems that cause a ship to self-destruct in a massive explosion if it's about to be captured or destroyed. Several human vessels, when critically damaged, ram themselves directly into destroyer ships, causing devastating explosions that destroy both vessels. The destroyer's collective intelligence begins to recognize that these humans represent a completely new type of threat. They don't follow the established patterns of galactic warfare. They don't try to preserve their forces. They don't negotiate or surrender when faced with superior odds. They simply fight with an intensity and creativity that the machines have never encountered. As the battle progresses, the human tactics become even more unpredictable. Some ships start using their cargo holds as weapons, launching containers filled with explosive materials or toxic chemicals. Others modify their mining equipment into improvised weapon systems. A few even start ramming damaged destroyer vessels. To finish them off, the coalition forces watch in amazement as the humans begin to turn the tide of the battle. The destroyer fleet, which had expected to crush the primitive humans within minutes, finds itself locked in a prolonged engagement with an enemy that refuses to be defeated. Admiral Vex realizes that the humans' apparent primitiveness is actually their greatest strength. They haven't learned the proper way to fight galactic wars, so they're inventing their own methods as they go. Their weapons may be crude, but their tactics are revolutionary. The destroyers begin to retreat, not because they're outmatched in technology or numbers, but because they can't predict what the humans will do next. Their adaptive systems are designed to counter known threats, but the humans keep creating new ones. As the enemy fleet pulls back to regroup, Admiral Cole's voice comes over the communication channel again. Coalition forces, this is Admiral Cole. We've got them on the run for now, but they'll be back with new tactics. We need to discuss strategy. The coalition commanders look at each other in disbelief. These primitive humans have just accomplished what the galaxy's most advanced civilizations couldn't do. They've forced the destroyers to retreat. 3 hours after the first engagement, the coalition command center buzzes with activity as leaders from across the galaxy arrive to witness what many are calling impossible. Admiral Vex has called an emergency strategy meeting, and the attendees include representatives from every major galactic civilization. Admiral Cole stands before the assembled alien commanders, his simple uniform contrasting sharply with the elaborate regalia of the galactic leaders. His ship, the Enterprise, bears visible scars from the battle, hull plates missing, armor scorched, and weapon systems jury-rigged with spare parts. Yet he appears calm and confident. The destroyers will return within 12 hours, Cole explains, pointing to a holographic display showing enemy fleet movements. They're regrouping and adapting their tactics based on our first encounter, but that's exactly what we expected them to do. Commander Nira, still amazed by the human success, asks the question on everyone's mind. How did you know your tactics would work against their adaptive systems? Cole smiles grimly. Because we've been fighting adaptive enemies for thousands of years. Humans don't just fight other humans. We fight diseases, weather, predators, and environments that constantly change and evolve. Our entire approach to warfare is based on the assumption that our enemies will adapt to whatever we do. Captain. Dex leans forward with interest. You planned for their adaptation? We planned for multiple levels of adaptation, Cole replies. Every human ship carries 50 different weapon systems and can modify them in real time. We have contingency plans. For contingency plans, when one tactic stops working, we're already implementing 3 new ones. Asterisk, the coalition leaders exchange glances. This approach is completely foreign to their military thinking, which emphasizes perfecting specific tactics and technologies. The humans seem to embrace chaos and unpredictability as strengths rather than weaknesses. Admiral Vex pulls up sensor data from the battle. Your ships took heavy damage. Many of your crew members died. How do you justify such losses? Cole's expression grows serious. Every human who died in that battle volunteered for this mission. They knew the risks. In human culture, we have a saying, freedom isn't free. Sometimes you have to pay a price to protect what matters. The alien commanders struggle to understand this concept. Most galactic civilizations prioritize preservation of life above all else, avoiding battles unless victory is certain. The humans seem willing to accept casualties if it means achieving their objectives. Over the next few hours, the humans demonstrate their approach to military logistics. Their ships are designed to be repaired and modified quickly using basic materials. Where coalition vessels require specialized components manufactured on specific worlds, human ships can be fixed with scrap metal and improvised parts. The human engineering teams work with an efficiency that amazes the coalition observers. They don't just repair damaged systems, they improve them, incorporating lessons learned from the battle. Weapons are upgraded, armor is reinforced, and new defensive systems are installed using salvage destroyer technology. Asterisk. Commander Nira watches human technicians converting a cargo bay into a missile factory. They're manufacturing weapons during the battle, she reports in amazement. They're not just using what they brought, they're creating new systems on the fly. The coalition forces begin to understand that human warfare is fundamentally different from their own. Where other races plan battles in advance with detailed strategies and precise execution, humans treat each engagement as a learning experience. That informs the next one. Admiral Cole reveals another aspect of human military thinking that shocks the galactic leaders. We've been studying your war records for the past 6 months. Every battle you've fought, every tactic you've tried, every failure you've experienced. We learned from your mistakes. You learned from our defeats? Admiral Vex asks, confused. Defeats are the best teachers, Cole explains. Success can make you overconfident, but failure shows you exactly what doesn't work. You've been fighting the destroyers for 5 years, giving us a perfect database of ineffective tactics to avoid. The humans reveal that they've been developing their strategies based on coalition failures. Every time the galactic forces tried a tactic that didn't work, the humans created a counter-strategy. They've essentially been conducting a massive analysis of destroyer capabilities and weaknesses. As the strategy session continues, the coalition leaders begin to see the humans' primitive approach in a new light. Their crude weapons are actually highly adaptable tools. Their chaotic tactics are actually carefully planned unpredictability. Their willingness to accept casualties reflects a deep commitment to their cause. Captain Dex asks the crucial question, "What do you need from us?" Cole looks around the room at the assembled galactic leaders. "We need you to fight alongside us, but you need to be willing to abandon everything you think you know about warfare. The destroyers are machines. They're predictable, but only if you're willing to be unpredictable in return. The coalition commanders face a difficult choice: continue fighting the war their way and face certain defeat, or trust these primitive humans and embrace a completely new approach to galactic warfare. The second battle for Keros begins at dawn. But this time, the coalition forces are fighting alongside the humans, using combined tactics that have never been seen before in galactic warfare. Admiral Vex watches from the command center as mixed fleets of human and alien ships take positions around the planet. The destroyers return with twice as many ships as before, their formations even more precise and deadly. Their adaptive systems have been upgraded to counter the human tactics from the previous battle. The enemy fleet moves with mechanical perfection, ready to crush both the primitive humans and their alien allies. But the coalition forces are no longer the same defeated army that had been on the verge of surrender. Captain Dex leads a squadron of wolf warriors who have modified their ships with human-designed weapons. Their energy cannons now fire in unpredictable patterns, and their shields constantly shift frequencies to confuse destroyer targeting systems. Commander Nira coordinates a group of reptilian vessels that have adopted human wolf pack tactics. Instead of maintaining their traditional defensive formations, they dart in and out of the enemy fleet like predators, striking weak points and retreating before the destroyers can respond. The humans have also evolved their approach. Admiral Cole's fleet now includes coalition vessels that have been retrofitted with human weapon systems. The combination of advanced alien technology and human adaptability creates entirely new tactical possibilities. The battle begins with the destroyers confident in their upgraded systems. Their first wave attacks with concentrated fire, expecting to break through the coalition defenses as they had done countless times before. But the defenders respond with something completely unexpected: organized chaos on a galactic scale. Human ships armed with projectile weapons provide covering fire, while alien vessels equipped with energy weapons strike at specific targets. The destroyers' adaptive systems struggle to process the variety of attacks coming from all directions. Every time they adapt to one type of weapon, 3 different ones take its place. The coalition forces have learned to embrace the human philosophy of acceptable losses. When a ship is critically damaged, instead of retreating for repairs, it makes a final attack run to inflict maximum damage on the enemy. The destroyers find themselves facing opponents who fight with the same intensity they had only seen from the humans. Admiral Vex coordinates the overall battle strategy, using human-style real-time adaptation. Instead of following a rigid battle plan, he constantly adjusts tactics based on what works and what doesn't. The coalition command structure, once formal and hierarchical, now operates more like a human military unit with rapid communication and quick decision-making. The turning point comes when Captain Dex leads a combined force of human and alien ships in a desperate assault on the destroyer flagship. The massive enemy vessel, a mobile fortress called the Void Bringer, has been coordinating the enemy fleet's adaptive responses. If it can be destroyed, the destroyer's ability to adapt will be severely compromised. The assault force uses a combination of human recklessness and alien precision. Wolf warriors provide the aggression and willingness to take risks, while human tactical planning ensures their sacrifice has maximum impact. The coordinated attack overwhelms the Void Bringer's defenses, and the massive ship explodes in a chain reaction that destroys several nearby. Destroyer vessels dock with their command ship destroyed. The destroyer fleet begins to lose coordination. Their adaptive systems, no longer centrally controlled, start working at cross purposes. Some ships adapt to counter human tactics, while others focus on alien weapons, creating gaps in their defenses that the coalition forces quickly exploit. Commander Nira leads a final assault that demonstrates how much the Coalition has learned from the humans. Her ships use improvised weapons, unpredictable tactics, and a willingness to accept casualties that would have been unthinkable before the humans arrived. The reptilian warriors, once known for their cautious approach to warfare, now fight with the same intensity as human berserkers. The battle ends with the complete destruction of the destroyer fleet. For the first time in the war, an enemy force has been utterly defeated rather than simply driven off. The Coalition forces have proven that the supposedly invincible destroyers can be beaten when faced with the right combination of tactics and determination. As the debris from the destroyed enemy fleet drifts through space, Admiral Cole addresses the Coalition commanders. This is just the beginning. The destroyers have other fleets, other strongholds. But now we know how to fight them. Now we know how to win. The Coalition leaders look at the human admiral with new respect. This primitive species has not only saved their civilization, but has taught them how to save themselves. The war is far from over, but for the first time in 5 years, the galaxy has hope. Admiral Vex realizes that the humans have given them something more valuable than victory. They have given them a new way of thinking about warfare, about survival, and about what it means to fight for something worth dying for. The galaxy will never be the same. 6 months after the victory at Keros, the galaxy has transformed into something unrecognizable from the desperate civilization that once cowered before the destroyers. The war continues, but now it's the enemy that retreats from system to system, unable to adapt to the constantly evolving tactics of the human Coalition alliance. Admiral Cole stands in the command center of the massive space station that has become the new headquarters for galactic defense. Around him, human and alien officers work side by side, their different approaches to warfare creating a synergy that has proven unstoppable against the destroyers. Mechanical precision. The Coalition forces have fully embraced the human philosophy of adaptive warfare. Captain Dex, now promoted to general, leads mixed fleets of human and alien ships that strike at destroyer strongholds with unpredictable tactics. His Wolf warriors have learned to combine their natural ferocity with human strategic thinking, making them devastatingly effective in battle. Commander Nira, elevated to admiral, oversees the intelligence operations that have become crucial to the war effort. Her reptilian analytical mind, combined with human intuition, has created an intelligence network that can predict and counter destroyer movements better than their own computers. The transformation goes beyond military tactics. Human engineers work alongside alien scientists to create new technologies that combine the best of both approaches. Coalition energy weapons are now mounted on human-designed adaptive platforms, creating weapon systems that can be modified in real time during battle. Admiral Vex has become the supreme commander of the combined fleets, his tactical genius enhanced by human-style flexibility and adaptation. He watches the holographic display showing the current state of the war. The destroyers have been pushed back to less than a dozen systems, and each of those is under constant attack by Coalition forces. Asterisk. The humans have also learned from their alien allies. Human ships now incorporate advanced shielding technology and energy, weapons that make them far more effective than the primitive vessels that first arrived at Keros. The combination of human adaptability and alien technology has created a military force unlike anything the galaxy has ever seen. But the war has changed the galaxy in ways that go beyond military matters. The different species that once viewed each other with suspicion and maintained strict boundaries now work together as true allies. Human concepts of individual initiative and creative problem-solving have spread throughout galactic society, while humans have learned to appreciate the wisdom and experience of older civilizations. Admiral Cole reflects on how much has changed. Since those first desperate hours at Keros, the Coalition forces that once seemed doomed to defeat have become the most effective military alliance in galactic history. The destroyers, once considered invincible, now face extinction as their factory worlds are systematically destroyed by human-led assault teams. The final battle of the war takes place at the destroyer home system, a cluster of artificial worlds that serve as their primary manufacturing base. The assault force includes representatives from every species in the galaxy, united under human tactical leadership, but enhanced by the unique capabilities of each race. General Dex leads the ground assault on the main factory world, his forces using a combination of human close-quarters combat techniques and alien heavy weapons. The battle is fierce, but the destroyer's predictable defensive patterns prove no match for the chaotic effectiveness of human-trained alien warriors. Admiral Nira coordinates the space battle, her intelligence networks providing real-time information about destroyer movements and vulnerabilities. The enemy fleet, once capable of adapting to any threat, finds itself overwhelmed by the sheer variety of tactics and weapons systems arrayed against it. The war ends not with a massive explosion or dramatic confrontation, but with the systematic shutdown of the last destroyer factory. The machines that once threatened to consume the galaxy simply stop functioning, their purpose fulfilled and their resources exhausted. In the aftermath of victory, the galaxy faces a new challenge. How to maintain the unity and cooperation that made victory possible. The Human Coalition Alliance has proven that different species can work together to achieve the impossible, but peacetime cooperation requires different skills than wartime alliance. Admiral Cole, now recognized as one of the greatest military minds in galactic history, addresses the assembled leaders of the new galactic government. We've learned that our differences make us stronger, not weaker. The destroyers were defeated, not because we became the same, but because we learned to use our differences as weapons. The galaxy enters a new era of cooperation and growth, guided by the human principle that challenges make people stronger, and the alien wisdom that experience teaches patience. The primitive species that once seemed irrelevant to galactic affairs has become the foundation of a new civilization that spans the stars. The war is over, but the transformation of the galaxy has just begun. Humanity's greatest gift to the cosmos was not their military prowess, but their ability to see potential in chaos and strength in diversity. The galaxy will never forget the species that taught them how to fight for something worth dying for. Asterisk.